Welcome to another video by 12istic. In this video, we will be discussing Secretarial Practice for Standard 11. So, let us begin with the first chapter in SP, Secretary, on page number 1. So, this chapter Secretary consists of the origin of Secretary, the meaning and the definition, the features of secretary, importance of secretary, the different types of secretary, functions and qualities of secretary. So, today let us begin with the introduction. The Indian economy is fast developing and has fastest growing sector in the world. Various forms of organization have emerged in the present economic status. So, this means that the Indian economy now, India is developing very fast and rapidly in the means of development and in the means of the service sector. India jo hai, it has been coming into new inventions very rapidly, and also many major important changes are also been taking place in this present Indian economy. Finance is needed to establish a business, run it, to monetize it, expand it and diversify it. So money, that is finance, money is very important in order to run the business, in order to start the business को grow करने में, business को expand करने में, business चलाने के लिए one factor that is important is money, पैसा, that is finance is very important. The role of financial management has become important to the corporate world. So money is very important in today's corporate world. अगर पैसा नहीं है कंपनी के पास या फिर कंपनी के CEO के पास, then there will be nothing. But finance and money is very important to build the company, to grow the company to its success. Expert individual having special capability and knowledge to run business have now become important for our present Indian business scenario. So, एक नॉलेज, एक इंडिविजुअल के पास वो स्पेशल स्किल्स होना, एबिलिटीज़ होना, परफेक्ट नॉलेज होना, all this is very important for the company to grow in India. The profession of secretary is one such profession which caters to the changing demand of businessmen and organization. So now the profession of secretary is very important to the businessman also and for the company also. So one individual which is very important वो है secretary. कंपनी को secretary की ज़रूरत होती है. Also any businessman, any huge businessman, they need the help of secretary. The subject secretarial practice deals with the origin, important, features, types, appointment, quality, qualification, function, duties of different types of secretaries, the functioning of joint stock company, etc. So ये जो chapter है, that is secretary, it deals with secretary के क्या importance है, क्या features है, क्या types of secretaries कौन से है, वो लोग के duties क्या है, वो लोग के पास कौन से qualities, कौन से qualifications होना चाहिए. So this chapter deals with all of these things. Now we go to the next one, that is origin of secretary. जो secretary है word, वो कहाँ से origin हुआ, कहाँ से start हुआ. Until the late 19th century, person involved in the daily correspondence and the activities related to finance has assumed the title secretary. So 19th century में जो persons daily ऑफिस में ऑफिस की एक्टिविटीज़ को संभालते हैं, डेली करस्पॉन्डेंस of the office correspondence they are related to, so that word is been given the title as secretary. The Latin word secretum or secretus, which means secret. So but there is a Latin word called as secretis which means secret. For example, हम लोग अपने best friend के साथ we share something, तो वो एक secret होता है. So secretary also, it is such a person जो office के जो secrets होते हैं of money related, of different partners, of different tradings happening in the business, in the company. तो जो secret एक secretary रखती है, that is called, in the Latin word it is called as the secretis. The word secretary is derived from the Latin word secretarius, which means someone who work for a person of great importance. So जो secretary word है वो एक Latin word से आया है, which is called as secretarius. So this means that a person working for someone else of a great importance. For example, we can say the boss of the company, the CEO of the company, the directors of the company. So जो व्यक्ति, जो individuals अपने boss के लिए, अपने CEO के लिए, अपने managing directors के लिए जो व्यक्ति काम करती है, that person is called as a secretary. Then turn to the next page, page number 2. We have, in the Roman times, scribe was a professional letter written or one who maintains confidential records. Now Roman के time में the secretaries are also called as the scribe, that is who writes a professional letter. बहुत ही formal letter वो लोग लिखते हैं. Also जो confidential records है, जो जिसको डिस्प्ले नहीं करना है दूसरे मेंबर्स के साथ कंपनी के, सो दैट कॉन्फिडेंशियल मैटर्स, वो गुपित रिकॉर्ड्स वो सेक्रेटरी मेंटेन करती है. इन एंशिएंट इंडियन हिस्ट्री सेक्रेटरी वाज रिफर्ड टू एज अमात्या, सचिवा और चिटनिस, विच मीन्स अ पर्सन हु डज सेक्रेटरियल वर्क. और हम लोग के एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री में सेक्रेटरीज को भी अलग अलग नाम दिया है, दैट इज द चिटनीस, द सचिवास, द अमात्यास. सो the person who does the work of secretary are being called by these 3 names. So this is very important for match the following and fill in the blanks. They can ask you in the exam. Today the state and the central government also have secretaries for various department functioning under the control of ministry in the sachivalas. तो अभी जो state government and central government है वो लोग के पास भी there are various departments और various departments के भी secretaries there are there. Then with the next, that is the meaning and the definition. There are various definition of secretary. Some of them are as follows. The first is the Oxford Dictionary, which defines a secretary as a person whose work is to write for others, especially one who is employed to conduct correspondence, keep record and to transact various other business for other person or for society, corporation or public body. So now let us see this definition which is being given by the Oxford Dictionary. This definition says that secretary वो इंसान, वो व्यक्ति रहता है जो दूसरों के लिए लिखता है, that is who write for others, especially one who is employed to conduct correspondence, keep record and to transact various other business for other person or for society, corporation or a public body. So the work of the secretary is to keep the records, to transact the records with another company, with another society. So this is the work of the secretary, that is to write for others, to keep records and to transact the same. Then the second definition says that according to the Companies Act 2013 section 224, company secretary or secretary means a company secretary as defined in clause C of subsection 1 of section 2 of the Company Secretary Act 1980, who is appointed by a company to perform the function of company secretary under this act. तो ये बहुत सारे एक्ट है, कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 के अंदर भी बहुत सारे एक्ट है. तो जो व्यक्ति वो एक्ट के लिए अंडर दैट एक्ट हु वर्क, सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द सेक्रेटरी. द Company Secretary Act 1980 defines a company secretary as a person who is a member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India. So for example, we can say that to become a company secretary, CS, we have to appear for the CS exam and we have to pass in that company secretary exam. Okay. From the above definition, it can be stated that secretary is appointed to ensure the smooth functioning of the organization and to assist in various functions related to correspondence, meeting, record keeping and any such administrative work. So thus हम लोग ये कंक्लूड कर सकते हैं कि जो सेक्रेटरीज है वो लोग क्यों अपॉइंट किए जाते हैं. सो द सेक्रेटरीज आर अपॉइंटेड ताकि बिजनेस का रनिंग बहुत ही स्मूथ जाए, फॉर स्मूथ रनिंग ऑफ द बिजनेस, दैट बिजनेस विल ग्रो एंड एक्सपांड. जो कुछ भी एक्टिविटीज़, जो कुछ भी फंक्शंस कंपनी को करने हैं, दैट द कंपनी कैन ऑल्सो डू. जो कॉन्फिडेंशियल रिकॉर्ड्स जिसको मेंटेन करने हैं, टू मेंटेन द रिकॉर्ड्स ऑल्सो, छोटे मोटे अरेंजमेंट ऑफ द मीटिंग्स है, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव वर्क्स है. सो ऑल ऑफ दीज वर्क्स द सेक्रेटरी विल डू. सो दैट इज़ द मेन रीज़न वाई द सेक्रेटरी इज़ अपॉइंटेड इन एनी कंपनी. Then turn to page number 3. We have features of secretary. Now in features of secretary, we have 8 important features of secretary which can be asked in the exam. So we have individual, duties, qualification, appointment, paid employee, confidential officer, representative and qualities. Now let us have a look one by one. The first feature of secretary is individual. Individual मतलब एक person, एक व्यक्ति. So that is called as individual. Only an individual alone can be appointed as a secretary. So एक आदमी ही, एक व्यक्ति ही will be appointed as the secretary of the company. एक कंपनी के 3-4 सेक्रेटरी नहीं हो सकते. A firm, an institution or a corporate body cannot be appointed as a secretary. तो एक कंपनी के एक डिपार्टमेंट या फिर एक पूरा कंपनी, so that will not be appointed as a secretary, but only one person is appointed as a secretary. A secretary has to be an individual as per the provision of the company law and also due to the skills required to fulfill the duties and responsibility towards the employers. So this means that जो सेक्रेटरी होंगे, जो वो एक इंडिविजुअल, जो वन पर्सन रहेगा, वो कंपनी लॉ के अंडर इट शुड बी कमिंग. और वो व्यक्ति को पूरा नॉलेज होना चाहिए, पूरा स्किल्स होना चाहिए कि क्या क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ है, क्या क्या ड्यूटीज़ है ऑफ द company and of the employers also who will work in that company. So this was the first point, that is individual. Now we have the second one, that is the duties. A secretary has to perform routine and administrative duties such as correspondence, conducting meeting, maintaining record and providing information. So here we can take the example of a student. Now what are all the duties of the student? That is to wake up early in the morning, go to schools and colleges, do the homework on time, attend the lectures on time. So all of this is the duties of a student. So similarly secretaries के भी, of any secretary के भी कुछ duties होते हैं which is very important. तो यहाँ पे वो लोग ने स्पेसिफाई किया है कि सेक्रेटरी हैज़ टू कंडक्ट मीटिंग्स, मीटिंग कंडक्ट होने के बाद दे हैव टू मेंटेन द रिकॉर्ड्स, इंफॉर्मेशन दे विल प्रोवाइड. सो ऑल दीज ड्यूटीज़ आर टू बी लुक्ड बाय द सेक्रेटरी. Secretary also have to fulfill the day-to-day routine duties related to the employers or organization such as the clerical work, recording, fixing appointment, giving reminders, replying to other employee queries, etc. So apart from conducting meetings, providing information, और भी कुछ additional duties होते हैं secretary के. तो वो क्या है कि डेली का रूटीन उसका जो है वो शी हैज़ टू फॉलो. फिर अगर एम्प्लॉयर्स के, अगर दूसरे वर्कर्स के इन द कंपनी कुछ क्वेरीज़ है, कुछ डाउट है, तो वो सॉल्व करना. ऑल्सो अगर किसी भी बॉस का मीटिंग फिक्स करना है तो टू फिक्स द मीटिंग, टू फिक्स अपॉइंटमेंट, बॉस को रिमाइंडर देना कि आपका ये टाइम पे मीटिंग है, ये टाइम को आपको फील्ड वर्क में जाना है, किसी दूसरे कंपनी में विजिट देना है. सो अपार्ट फ्रॉम the other functions also, there are other duties of the secretary that the secretary has to follow. Then we have the next, that is these duties vary according to the nature of the work of the organization or employer. तो ये जो duties है वो duties secretary के ये जो है वो हर एक company में there will be different. In recent time, secretary has to ensure legal compliance. The third one is qualification. Now, to become a secretary होने के लिए क्या qualifications, कौन सी एग्ज़ाम्स डू वी हैव टू गिव ताकि हम लोग एलिजिबल हो वो कंपनी सेक्रेटरी बनने के लिए. Every secretary must possess certain qualities and qualifications as per the organization. So as per any companies, secretary के भी कुछ qualities, कुछ qualifications होना ज़रूरी है. So for example, if you want to become a CA, then you have to give the entrance test, then you have IPCC, फिर आपका internship होगा. So there are certain qualifications required to become a chartered accountant, CA. So similarly, if you want to become CS, that is company secretary, there are certain qualifications, there are certain qualities which is very important. However, a person who is appointed as a company secretary in a public or private company need to have certain prescribed qualification according to the Companies Act 2013. तो अगर एक व्यक्ति को, अगर एक पर्सन, अगर एक इंडिविजुअल को कंपनी सेक्रेटरी बनना है तो उसके कुछ प्रोसीजर्स है विच इज़ बीन मेंशन्ड इन द कंपनी सेक्रेटरी एक्ट 2013. सो दैट हैज़ टू बी फॉलोड, वेदर वो व्यक्ति को प्राइवेट कंपनी में जाना है या फिर पब्लिक कंपनी में जाना है. बट दैट according to the Companies Act 2013, this the company or that individual should follow to become a company secretary. Similarly, a secretary of a government department need to have the qualification as per the government rules and regulation. बट अगर किसी व्यक्ति को गवर्नमेंट का सेक्रेटरी बनना है तो जो कुछ भी गाइडलाइंस, जो कुछ भी रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस the government says, so that individual has to follow to become the government secretary. Then we have the next point, that is the fourth one is appointment. A secretary can be appointed by individual, professionals, society, corporation, government, public organization, joint stock company, etc. सो अपॉइंटमेंट, अभी सेक्रेटरी को कौन अपॉइंट करेगा? सो दैट कैन बी इंडिविजुअल्स, मतलब बॉस अपॉइंट कर सकता है, या फिर प्रोफेशनल्स है लाइक CA है या फिर डॉक्टर है, दे कैन अपॉइंट. एक सोसाइटी है, फॉर एग्जांपल वी कैन टेक इवन आवर बिल्डिंग हैज़ अ सेक्रेटरी, अ ट्रेजरर, अ चेयरमैन. सो अ सोसाइटी कैन ऑल्सो अपॉइंट अ सेक्रेटरी. देन गवर्नमेंट है, गवर्नमेंट के डिपार्टमेंट्स है, पब्लिक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से, एक बहुत भी बड़ी जॉइंट स्टॉक कंपनी है. तो ये जो कंपनीज है, दीज कंपनीज कैन अपॉइंट वन सेक्रेटरी. इन अदर वर्ड्स, अ सेक्रेटरी कैन बी अ पर्सनल और इंस्टीट्यूशनल सेक्रेटरी. सो हम लोग ये कह सकते हैं कि देर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ सेक्रेटरी. वन इज पर्सनल मीनिंग which will take orders only from the boss, and institutional secretary is a common, that is institutional secretary, that is a big company's secretaries also we can say. Then we have the fifth one, that is the paid employee. A secretary is paid employee of the organization. Secretary is either given a salary or paid an honorarium. Although secretary is paid employee, yet the secretary holds a very important position in the organization. So अभी suppose for example our parents go to work, तो at the end of the month वो लोग को salary मिलता है, वो लोग को उनके काम का benefit मिलता है, so they get salary. So similarly the secretary also is a paid employee, that is the secretary will also get salary, या फिर the secretary will get honorarium, that is it is a fee related to rendering services. But secretary is very important in the company. Secretary plays a very important role और उसका position भी बहुत ही high होता है in any company and organization. Then next we have is the sixth point, which is confidential officer. Confidential मतलब जो secret reveal नहीं करता है वो, that is confidential. A secretary is a custodian of secret and confidential information of the organization. तो secretary वो व्यक्ति रहती है जो कंपनीज के सीक्रेट क्या है, कंपनीज का जो रिवील नहीं करना है डेटा कंपनी अदर कंपनीज या फिर अदर एम्प्लॉयज़ एंड मैनेजर्स को, सो दैट इज़ बी नोन बाय द सेक्रेटरी. सो सेक्रेटरी इट इज़ कॉल्ड एज द कॉन्फिडेंशियल ऑफिसर. Supposing if you share your secrets with your friend, so that friend will not reveal your secret to anyone. वो friend उसके पास ही रखेगा वो secret. So that is called as confidential. गुपित रखना, वो चीज़ को गुपित रखेगा. So secretary is closely connected to the top management and can be involved in policy decisions. So there are levels of management, that is the top level, the middle level and the bottom level. तो जो top management या फिर जो टॉप लेवल के जो डिसीजंस है, जो कनेक्शंस है, सो दैट विल बी डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड टू द सेक्रेटरी एज द सेक्रेटरी इज अ कॉन्फिडेंशियल ऑफिसर. देन वी हैव द नेक्स्ट, दैट इज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव. अ सेक्रेटरी एक्ट एज अ रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. रिप्रेजेंटेटिव मतलब फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी हम लोग के कॉलेज में या फिर हम लोग के क्लास में CR होता है, हु इज़ द रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ दैट whole class, so that one person is responsible. So similarly a company may be, there is a secretary who is responsible and who has that representative power. So in a company secretary holds that position. Generally secretaries are of two type, that is the personal secretary and institutional secretary. Secretaries appointed by individuals are called as the personal secretary. तो जो एक व्यक्ति एक सेक्रेटरी को अपॉइंट करता है, दैट वन पर्सन, सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज पर्सनल सेक्रेटरी एंड दीज सेक्रेटरीज रिप्रेजेंट देयर एम्प्लॉयर्स. तो जो पर्सनल सेक्रेटरीज अपॉइंट करता है, दैट पर्सन विल ओनली गिव ऑर्डर टू द सेक्रेटरी. देन टर्न टू द नेक्स्ट पेज, पेज नंबर 4. Institutional secretaries are appointed by societies, by companies, by government department and represent their organization. तो जो इंडिविजुअल सेक्रेटरीज है वो गवर्नमेंट अपॉइंट करती है, लाइक लार्ज कंपनीज, फिर सोसाइटीज़ अपॉइंट करती है, बड़े बड़े कंपनीज दे अपॉइंट. देन वी हैव द लास्ट पॉइंट विच इज़ द 8th पॉइंट इज़ द क्वालिटीज़ ऑफ सेक्रेटरी. सेक्रेटरी के क्या क्या क्वालिटीज़ होती है. सो सेक्रेटरी should possess certain qualities so as to conduct the secretarial duties smoothly. Now अभी सेक्रेटरी के पास, वो व्यक्ति के पास एक क्वालिटीज़, बहुत सारे क्वालिटीज़ होना चाहिए ताकि वो जो कंपनी है that will run very smoothly. If the secretary does not have any qualities of becoming the secretary, then the company will face a huge loss. So it is important for the secretary to have certain and important qualities. The qualities like concentration. Concentration also in students, concentration is also important when you study. हम लोग का मन यहाँ वहाँ भटकता है, so that should not be there. Suppose if message आता है while you study, तो हम लोग तुरंत ही वो message देखते हैं. So concentration is very important for secretary. Then is intelligence. Then is the tact, loyalty, कोऑपरेशन मतलब एक अच्छी तरीके से कम्युनिकेशन होना चाहिए, एक दूसरे को संभालना चाहिए सेक्रेटरी को. ऑल्सो द सेक्रेटरी शुड बी वेरी लॉयल, उसको चीटिंग नहीं करना चाहिए. देन कर्टेसी, लीडरशिप इज़ द मेन क्वालिटी ऑफ अ सेक्रेटरी, दैट इज़ टू बी अ लीडर एंड टू लीड इन द फ्रंट. ऑर्डरलीनेस, एक काम का उसका एक ऑर्डर होना चाहिए, डे टू डे रूटीन जो है तो उसको वो फिक्स करके रखना चाहिए और वो जो काम है दिन का वो पूरा हो जाना चाहिए. एंड नॉलेज सीकर असिस्ट इन स्मूथ एंड इफेक्टिव वर्किंग ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड दैट सेक्रेटरी शुड बी अपडेटेड विथ न्यू नॉलेज. Thus if the secretary will have all these qualities, that is intelligence, tact, loyalty, concentration, leadership, orderliness, courtesy. So if the secretary is having all these qualities, then it will lead to the benefit of the company. Company will be benefited. So that's it with this video. Hope you all like it. Don't forget to like, share and comment on my channel 12istic. Stay tuned. Until then, bye-bye. Thank you.